construction costs and home prices. Both of them are going up. Is one of them driving the other, or are they unrelated? Well, let's take a look at the numbers and the data behind it. First of all, there is a presumption that the housing market is overpriced, that home values are in a bubble. In prior videos, we've shown how actually home prices are not in a bubble. They're at this regular rate of increase over time as normally would have happened. And if you don't believe us, take a look at Fortune. It says right here, you thought U.S. housing prices market was overpriced. It's actually one of the most affordable in the world. It's only overpriced compared to the last 10 years, which was artificially depressed. In the last 2 years, kind of brought it back into line of where it should be. House price appreciation is no greater overall than it has been in the last 100 years. In fact, the catch-up is so severe that it says housing market is changing so fast that if you wait just a few months, you might pay an extra 20%. And they're talking about your mortgage payment. Some of that 20% is because of the mortgage rate increases. So if you had considered buying a house, let's say in November or December of 2021, at the price level that existed at that time, and waited until March or April of 2022, between the interest rate increase and the house price increase, you might have a 20% higher mortgage payment. So if you had an example of a $1,500 mortgage payment, it might now be $1,800. So what about construction costs? Well, construction costs and home prices are both going up, and the punchline, the answer to the question is they're both affecting each other. The construction cost driven by lack of labor availability, supply chain delays, and inflation of the underlying components, roofing, concrete, lumber, are all driving up construction of new homes. So the new homes are going to be higher. What about resale homes? How does construction cost affect the price of a resale home? Well, if new home values go up 20 or 25%, the resales are going to follow along, because most people who buy a resale are going to peg the value compared to what a new home will cost. And it says right here, construction costs went up 17.5%. That's actually a little low. Between the lumber, the concrete, the labor, it's more like 22 to 23% is what the price, the construction cost of a new home went up. Now, the selling price is going to go up more than that, because when your construction cost goes up, let's say 20%, by the time you add up markup, fixed cost, overhead, sales commission, your transaction price is going to go up maybe 25%. So if you had a house that would have sold for $400,000 as a new home, after all these increases, that price might be $500,000, 25% increase. How is this showing up? Well, some new home developments had buyers who had placed deposits on properties 8, 9, 10 months ago, beginning of 2021. And when it came time to do the closing, some of the builders, developers cancel their contract and put it on the market for a new buyer at a higher price. We've seen prices go from exactly what we talked about, 400 to 480, 485. And the previous home buyer is shut out. Now, sometimes they're given the option of purchasing the house for a higher price, but a lot of times the builder doesn't want to deal with the hassle of trying to justify a higher price to the same buyer. Where a new buyer comes in, they don't know about the $400,000 price that existed before. So to them, $485, that's what the house is worth. That affects the resale market, because a similar pre-owned house that somebody's selling might have previously been maybe 20 or 30% less than the 400, so that might have been 360, 340. Well, now that house is going to sell for 400 or 410. It's going to pull the resale market up with it. Matter of fact, the buyer who pays 485 or 490 for that brand new house might be selling their house to be able to move into the new house. In fact, it's going to be tough to get them to agree to sell their house for 350 if their new house is 500. Basically the same house, only new. So they're going to raise up their expectations on the resale side. How is that going to also show up in higher end houses? Well, when buyers start to look at a modest home that's 400, 450, or 500, a luxury home that used to be in the $500,000 range might be worth spending an extra 100 to 150 to get. Bigger house, 3,000 square feet, luxury finishes. So this home construction cost basis for builders that we see every day between labor, materials, sure, it makes the new houses worth more, but it also adds intrinsic value to an existing home that's already built because the replacement cost of that build is going to be so much higher. And the seller of that house is going to realize that and not discount their house as much. The other part of it is many homes that are resales have had a recent remodel. And if you factor in the cost of that remodel, again, it's going to affect the overall sale price market value of that new home. Resale homes are also able to sell for more because of comps. Comparable sales are used by appraisers to come up with values for mortgage approvals. And when the domino effect of new home increases, building costs affecting those gets built into the market or baked into the appraisals, it's going to gradually, over time, increase the appraisal capability of a resale home. In fact, it's not even catching up fast enough. A lot of resale homes, the buyer needs to come up with some extra cash to cover the appraisal difference. But this day and age, a lot of people are paying cash anyways. So an extra 20, 40, 50,000 is not that big a deal to cover the appraisal difference. So if you're a builder, expect that your client, your buyer, is going to see higher prices and higher contract cost for a remodel or an addition as normal. You don't necessarily have to be at 200, 240 a square foot for a builder grade addition because the market is showing higher. In fact, you probably couldn't even deliver for that now anyways because of labor cost and materials. If you're a client, all the benchmarks that you've seen before are probably out the window because your builder has these additional costs. Another area that is often overlooked as a cost is insurance. The cost for builder insurance, whether it's workman's comp, general liability, all the other types of insurance, surety bonds that goes into a construction project are all elevated. Commercial lines insurance has seen a 20% increase in premiums just in the last 12 months. And some markets are even closed where if you're a builder, you may not be able to get the same coverage you had before. The insurer and your agent may not have access to the markets to be able to provide you with a policy at all. So many builders are going to excess and surplus lines coverage, which also have higher premiums. So all of these factors go into making new home construction higher, remodels higher, and even the resales will follow suit to have the values of existing homes, as you've seen, go up. So neither one is really leading it. It's kind of in tandem, and the building costs might lead the resales, and then when resales jump up, it allows the market to be able to digest higher prices on the new homes.